Hi everyone, it's Adam Cockburn here at Lowe Co Realty, and welcome to today's review of the Wellington real estate market for the month of September 2021, comparing it to 1 year ago and in many cases 2 years ago. Folks, in summary, there are certainly signs that the market is cooling slightly, and by which I don't mean it's cool, I just mean it's coming off the extreme heat that we've seen for the last extended period of time. Cooling ever so slightly, so let's get into the numbers. If we look first at the median sale price in the Wellington region, September 2021, 845,000 compared to 743,000 a year ago. It's up 14%, and 14% is still a strong result over 12 months, but significantly less than we've seen for quite some period of time. And indeed, if we look at the blue results with the blue bar chart, which is the monthly results, the median sale price actually peaked back in February at 895,000, and the result in September 2021 is the lowest it has been since January of this year. And looking at the 6-month moving average, the red line, you can see that over 6 months on average, it has even come down a touch over the last 2 months of August and September. So that is not just a one-off, that's definitely a trend. But the median house sale price is not necessarily reflective of the underlying value of the properties. It can be strongly influenced by the mix of properties that are being sold. So for example, if more cheap properties, more small properties are being sold in a month, that will bring the median sale price down. It doesn't mean values have come down. So it's really important that we also look at the Real Estate Institute house price index, which really tries to strip out this mix of properties that are selling and to looking more at the underlying value changes. So if we look at that index in Wellington over the last 12 months or so, you can see they're at 35% or 34.9% to be precise. That is still huge growth over the last 12 months, and certainly much greater than 14% on the median house price growth. But over the last 3 months, we're seeing 2.6% growth and just 0.5% over the month of February alone. And therefore, you can see from that house prices, or according to the Real Estate Institute house price index at least, the growth is still there, but it is way slower over the last few months than it has been previous to that. Also, if you look at Wellington performance compared to the rest of New Zealand, over the last 12 months, nearly 35% for Wellington, just over 30% for New Zealand. So over the last 12 months, Wellington has outperformed the country. But over the last 1 and 3 months, you can see 0.5% compared to 2% for New Zealand, or 3 months, 2.6% compared to 6.4% for New Zealand. So over the last 12 months, Wellington has outperformed the country, but over the last 3 months, or the last recent number of months, Wellington is underperforming the rest of the country. So if we look indeed at the trend throughout 2021 of the house price index in Wellington, back in February we saw enormous growth just in that 1 month of 5.7%, but since then it has ticked steadily down to just 0.5% in September, and on a 3-month rolling average basis, it's gone from 11.4% in the 3 months to February down to just 2.6% in the 3 months to September. This is a clear and steady trend. Prices are rising much slower in Wellington in recent months than we saw sort of earlier in 2021 and since COVID lockdown in 2020. And so, for example, back in February, if we took the 3-month moving average of the house price index growth, the house price index for the 3 months ending February of 11.4%, and we said if it grew at 11.4% a quarter, for 4 quarters in a row, making that a year's growth, that would annualize at 54%. Now that is crazy. There's no way that's sustainable. That is extreme growth indeed. Moving ahead to the 3 months to September, that's 2.6%, and if we annualize that, that's just under 11% growth. So 11%, I mean, if the market continued to grow at 11% per annum every year ad infinitum, that's still very rapid growth indeed. But compared to 54%, it is way slower. So moral of the story is prices in Wellington have been going up still, but at a far slower rate than we have seen for some time. If we look now at the supply side of things, the new listings we're seeing come on each month, 689 new listings in September 2021 versus 602,000 September 20 and 602 in September 20 and 567 September 19. So the amount of supply that came to the market in September in Wellington is significantly higher than what we saw in the same month a year ago, and significantly higher than the same month 2 years ago. So interesting. That's good news for buyers. More supply came on in September than the last 2 Septembers we've seen, and by quite a healthy margin. On a 6-month average, how much supply has come onto the market on average per month for the last 6 months? 593 in 2021 versus 498 in 2020. Again, that's considerably more supply this year than last year. Last year, of course, was impacted by a COVID lockdown nationally, and about the same amount of supply in the 6 months to September as we saw 2 years ago in 2019. So pretty stable on that basis. But in September alone, significantly more supply came to the market this past September than the last 2 Septembers. Maybe that's a glimmer of light and hope for those of you out there looking as buyers. On the demand side, or the number of sales we're seeing taking place, 655 in September 2021 versus 771 in September 2020. That's a big drop. So whilst we saw more listings coming to the market, we've seen fewer sales taking place. Again, this is perhaps positive news, a little bit of good news for the buyers out there. When we compare it to September 2019, however, it is more. And so perhaps it is September 2020 that was the aberration. And if you remember, back September last year was several months out of lockdown, and the market was really gaining momentum. There was terrific confidence back in the market, and so things were moving very, very strongly indeed. So perhaps that's more a reflection of the September 2020 figures than September 21. Again, if we look at the 6-month moving average, 6 months to September this year, 668 sales per month versus last year 624. So on that basis, it's actually more than last year. But again, that was lockdown. So it's a little hard to get a read on this. But on reflection, fewer sales than last year at the same time, and more than the year before. In terms of how long is it taking to sell? Now, this is a pretty interesting result. 41 days in September 2021 in the Wellington region. Now, I can't help but think that's a bit of an outlier. It hasn't been anywhere near that number for quite a long time. Was that impacted by a few weeks worth of lockdown, holding back some deals, making some deals stretch out a bit longer? Perhaps it was. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the October numbers when they come out. If that drops back down to a much more normal sort of a level of, it's been sort of 30 days, 31, 32, 33, 34 sort of thing, then time will prove that the September data is out of whack. Because compared to the last 2 Septembers, it's significantly longer than either of those 2 years. Again, if we take the 6-month average, it's 32 days on average over the last 6 months in this year versus 34 2020 and 33 2019. So on that basis, pretty much the same as the last couple of years. How much inventory we had on the market? This is a number of weeks worth of supply. In September this year, we've seen 7 weeks. Now, this is the first time in 6 months that we've seen 7. For the previous 5 months, we saw a mere 5 weeks worth of inventory. Now, that is the longest, most sustained period of such low inventory since I've been recording this data over the last 6 years or 6.5 years or so. And we have to go way back to sort of mid to late 2016, before we saw quite an extended period where we had as little as 5 weeks worth of inventory on the market. So 7 weeks is definitely more than 5 for the last 5 months. At 7 weeks, it's 1 week more than we saw in September last year, and it's 1 week less than we saw in September 2019. So compared to those 2 years, it's pretty consistent, but compared to the last 6 months, it's definitely an increase. So again, is this a sign of good news, good things to come for buyers? Perhaps, and time will tell. So this is just another little bit of evidence that perhaps there is a slight shift taking place in the market. Number of TradeMe listings, and again, this is an interesting turn of events. In October this year, we've seen about 1,400 listings on TradeMe in the Wellington region, and October last year we saw less than 1,200. So that's a significant increase as to the level of stock that we saw a year ago, and the first time for a long time that I'm reporting an increase in the amount of supply on TradeMe compared to a year ago. Compared to 2 years ago, it's still lower, 12% less. But you can see there from the red line, the 6-month moving average again, you can see it's bottomed out, it's been stable for a number of months now, and then that blue line punching through to 1,400 is slowly having that red line tick upwards. So have we seen the bottom of the supply volumes on TradeMe in the Wellington market? If this continues, perhaps we are going to see an increase again. So again, is that another glimmer of hope for buyers out there who are hungry for more choice in the market? Maybe. So in summary, we're still seeing very, very strong 12-month price growth, but the price growth in the last 3-6 months has been way, way slower in Wellington. New listing volumes are up compared to 2020 and 2019. This is good news for buyers. Sales volumes down compared to last year, but up compared to 2019, so no clear sign of a clear trend there, or a clear change at least. Duration to sell, unusually high, unusually long in September this year, and I can't help but think that the lockdown impacted that, so let's see what October brings. Inventory is still low, but it's definitely higher than it has been since February. Website listings on TradeMe also low, but the first time it has increased since a year ago. So low, but trending upwards a little bit. So in summary, price growth definitely slower, new listings up, sales slowing a bit. Is this a sign that there is a glimmer of hope for buyers in times to come? We shall see, but I hope that's useful. Thanks for checking in. See you next month. It's Adam at Lowe Co.